Did you know that, after a show, a sleazy radio promoter approached Ann Wilson and made a crude remark about Ann and her sister Nancy Wilson, implying their lesbian relationship? But this deeply offensive remark angered the sisters profoundly. They channeled their anger into the lyrics of the song Barracuda, which lash out at such objectification and inappropriate advances. In this video, we tell you many such untold stories about Nancy Wilson while showing you some of her rare photos. In September 1975, Nancy Wilson, already a budding star, was about to have her life change forever. Performing at a Vancouver club with her sister Ann Wilson, their rock and roll energy captivated the crowd. But what she did not know was that sitting among the crowd was the man who would shoot her dreams into the limelight. Canadian producer Mike Flicker was in the club. As Nancy performed alongside her sister, Mike Flicker stared with lips apart. He could not hold back his amazement. Did such great talent exist in the city, he wondered. Once they climbed down the stage, the rock stars were not ready for the surprise that awaited them at the bottom of the podium stairs. What should have been a regular Friday night to just showcase their talents and sing good music to the high heavens quickly became a door to their first record deal. Nancy would never forget her first day at the recording studio. It was easy to think that everything would go smoothly once they signed the deal, but that was her judging a book by its cover. As the door to the studio was shut behind her to start recording, the setbacks began. Nancy had no idea that the recording process would be super tasking and demanding of her creativity till the very end. They had to release their debut album, Dreamboat Annie, and they had to do it fast, but quality was their watchword. So rather than break down at the creative tensions, Nancy and her sister banked on their tenacity and passion, and doubled down on their efforts. As a result, the album came to life, shook the music industry, and left fans reeling till date. But where did this tenacity and deep-rooted passion spring up from in the then 21-year-old guitarist? Did it run deeper than the world could see? Wait till her roots shock you. February 1964 was a game-changer for Nancy Wilson. Young Nancy had cuddled up on the couch to watch the Beatles perform on The Ed Sullivan Show. But to her surprise, the regular show that she watched with her siblings every other week seemed different this time around. As she watched the elegant performance, her insides coiled up in excitement. There and then, she received inspiration on what she wanted to do with her life. She turned to her sister, who was watching alongside, and they both giggled in mutual understanding. Who would have known that one show would set up Nancy and her sister Ann as rock and roll queens for life? Or was it more than just the show? Did their passion and tenacity roots run deeper? Having grown up in a military family, 6-year-old Nancy had to watch her family be uprooted from where they knew as home to follow the requirements of their father's profession. City after city they moved, and she learned to adjust to unfamiliar environments and hurdles that came with relocation. But in the middle of the constant changes she faced, she found solace in one thing: music. Through all upheavals and steady goodbyes, her succor was always present, a much-loved balance for the disruption she faced. This rocky childhood imbalance built her tenacity to a great extent, as she was about to witness further setbacks down the road. Soon, Nancy would realize that life was beyond changing locations. Her career's stability would come to greatly depend on this tough mental resolve. The future was brewing with more track stoppers than she could think of. The time was the early 70s. It was an era when no one would expect to see pretty faces roaring down mics in the rock and roll music industry. So how was Nancy Wilson expected to shine her way through to the top? But instead of backing out in cowardice, she had other plans. Staring down prejudices and threatening opinions, Nancy resolved to push through set boundaries. That fateful day in 1974, Nancy decided that it was time. Having had her fill of record engineers who wanted to use their skills for profit and degrading remarks from their male counterparts, she couldn't stand it anymore. She took a step to join Ann in Heart, a rock band founded by the duo. Simple as it sounds, this decision would play a pivotal role in shooting these stars to stardom. Nancy's powerful chords and Ann's dazzling voice combined to form the perfect symphony to shoot Heart to fame, starting with the music industry in Seattle. However, their moment to shine big came when they met the record producer from Canada. Dazzled by their energetic fusion and impressive skill, he took them up on a record deal in Vancouver where they recorded their mind-blowing debut album, Dreamboat Annie. It took a little time for this album to make its way to the top of the Billboard charts. The single Magic Man could easily be heard on the lips of citizens going about their daily lives. With Nancy's riffs on a distinctive high propelled by Anne's melodious voice, Heart quickly became the word on the streets of the music universe. Two sisters were rising quickly to break every misplaced boundary against women in the rock and roll world. But as their fame grew, so did a new variance of challenges. Nancy and Anne were faced with the constant pressure that came with setting foot in a resisting field. But regardless of the deterrents that kept popping up on their path to stardom, they kept raving through. Unfazed, their second album, Little Queen, made its way to the light. Taking their bravado up a step further, a single from the Little Queen album, Barracuda, called out the music industry's unfairness against women. This song pierced through not only as a show of dedication, but as a voice for women in the music industry. There was no doubt that after this album, Heart's place became concrete as a much-needed band at the time. But as they rocked their way to the hearts of listeners and more deals, a maelstrom was stirring underground. Personal issues and trouble between band members were stacking to cripple the band's progress. Right when one could conclude that Heart would reach a peak without falling apart, trouble brewed in disguise. What seemed like a happy set of siblings heartily playing their favorite songs was chaos in the background. Behind the scenes, the increasingly famous band was facing tensions that threatened to rip them apart. These tensions stemmed from a steady pile of unresolved work and private conflicts. A major part of this was Nancy's romantic relationship with fellow guitarist and bandmate Roger Fisher. Although starting as an enviable boyfriend and girlfriend couple, the pair's mix quickly turned sour when a trail of betrayal, jealousy, and mistrust layered their relationship. Once a muse, now a negative fuse, Nancy's relationship with Fisher left her feeling exhausted by the day. The day came when she had to finally walk away as things got slightly physical. Raged by one of their many arguments after a rather successful show, Fisher smashed his guitar and threw its pieces at another band member before storming off. At that moment, the band had to face a redefining moment in their lives. They realized that such situations were part of their walk to success. Consequently, the band members voted to oust Fisher from the band as a much-needed solution to maintain peace in their union. This left Nancy in a new spot of being Heart's lead guitarist, further setting up her for more redefining moments in her life. Lead guitar in hand and a new beginning at Heart, Nancy turned the pain of the heartbreak into mind-blowing sounds that placed her as a trailblazer in Heart's stage. But the troubles for Heart had only just begun. As their fame grew and the news of their successes spread, so did their demand for delivery. To cushion the ever-mounting pressure, addiction soon found its way into the hearts of Heart. As the sisters recall, they had powder over almost everything they did. The albums, the song scripts, everything. Cocaine quickly became a run-to solution for the band members as they sought higher inspiration to meet targets. Through this intense pressure, Nancy fought to keep the band and herself in one piece. Amid all this, Nancy remained steadfast in pushing the dream of the band to the top. Through every high and resultant hangover, she delivered the best of quality in every riff, song, and performance. While her bandmates fought addictions and whatnot, Nancy's unwavering spirit reminded the team that they could also conquer such moments and return strong. In retrospect, it is easy to just see these years of struggle as all negatives. However, for the iconic guitarist, these years served as building blocks to cement her resilience and build her into the unforgettable musician she turned out to be. Rising from these moments that threatened to scar her for life, Nancy re-emerged in the most incredible of ways. In the early 80s, what remained of the Heart band was in shambles, born from their constant interband tensions, disagreements, and the lulling effect of addiction. The effects bit hard on the team's progress and they were slowly dropping down the charts. A dwindling vision. But soon enough, a much-needed light shone right through their despair. Brainstorming for a way out, Nancy and her bandmates emerged with a dazzling form of reinvention. They transformed from the regular music style and image that they were known for to a pop sound that transcended their past. It was a more subtle form of rock, and it pleased the lot. Motivated by their newest music style, a new album was well in order for the name. They called it Heart, and it signified a rebirth for the band's success. A new wave of fame came as listeners now bobbed their heads to the enchanting "What About Love" and "These Dreams," hit singles from the album, giving Heart another chance at the top of the charts. But it was never about mere fame for Nancy. This turnaround was a personal victory for her as it brought her full appeal to the spotlight. Nancy Wilson as a guitarist, a dazzling songwriter, and an enchanting vocalist. This further solidified her will to always catch the positives from the most turbulent of years. Her bliss was further heightened when she received a letter from a fan who is a terminal leukemia patient. This letter praised the songs for being a beacon of hope on her deathbed, and then Nancy realized her music was magic. But behind the scenes, more demands were beginning to arise. As a parallel to Heart's growing popularity and success, the responsibility on Nancy's shoulders grew as well. Coupled with the tasking lifestyle as a musician, she also had to fulfill her duties as a wife and mother. Balancing these key aspects of her life quickly became a hurdle that threatened to steal her peace. But trust the ever-consistent Nancy to see past this challenge as well. Pouring her heart into every delivery professionally, she ensured that her family suffered no lack of her presence as well. She thoroughly balanced her professional and personal life, going on to release another enthralling album, Bad Animals, that went on to feature in movies like Say Anything and Jerry Maguire. For most artists, it would be easy to retire now after 2 decades long of success, but this was not so for Nancy Wilson. This queen of rock and roll saw each milestone as a stepping stone to do more and further establish her already successful career. She continued to pave the way to the top in the middle of changing times and trends. In the heart of the 90s, Nancy knew she had to do something when she noticed the draining fame and profits of the Heart band, all the while struggling with the hurdles of balancing work and personal life. Instead of throwing in the towel and concluding her career, Nancy uncovered another layer of her talent that the world did not see coming. Nancy Wilson ventured into the stage of film scoring, a field that has piqued her interest for years. Putting her dedication to this new creative scene as well, she came out successful after working on remarkable movies like Almost Famous and the like. With her success with scoring in the film industry, she unlocked another milestone to celebrate in her career, and she got her flowers. But this newfound love did not douse her love for rock and roll in any way. In 2002, she joined hands with Anne for a Heart tour that would set the field for the most remarkable time of both of their musical careers. Both sisters stormed the stage and showcased a love for music and family that transcended the challenges faced over the years. Nancy discovered herself anew during this 2002 tour. She got her chance to reconnect with her sister and her longtime fans, whose strength she carried on in the darkest of days. The legendary vocalist saw this as a chance to project what she wanted to do in the future with modern sounds. It was not just rock and roll anymore. She was out for all-encompassing music and fulfillment. Nancy went on to get rewards for her hard work through the years, like getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame alongside Anne, and many other nominations. But through it all, Nancy's relentless spirit and commitment to her dreams and skills are one to be admired. A voice for many, her life and career serve as hope for those who dare to chase their dreams. After a flourishing career of over 40 years, this rock and roll icon now goes beyond the studio and uses her influence to impact musicians and other professionals around the world. She now speaks from experience on sensitive topics that bug the lives of creatives and women seeking to find their place, especially in male-dominated fields.